Gamers of Reddit, what was the longest you've ever been stuck in a part of a game? My brother and I couldn't get past Shadow Link at the end of Legend of Zelda 2 on the NES. We had subscriptions to Nintendo Power, so we knew where all the items were. We pretty much had the rest of the game nailed down, but always hit a roadblock at Shadow Link at the end. After years and years of giving it the old college try, even giving it another go after discovering the dusty NES console in a closet and having a nostalgia weekend in the early 2000s, my brother finally bought it on Virtual Console for the Wii, and it happened. He brought it to my place with a bunch of friends, and after several beers and hours of constant play, the room erupted into a cacophony of roaring cheers and convulsive cries of disbelief as Shadow Link fell slain to my brother's sword. It took us 22 years to beat that son of a bee. Wait until you find out kneeling in the left corner and just stabbing beats him easily. I've done it the hard way, killing a magic bar with jump, shield, and spamming life spells while I get enough hits to kill him. I was so P when I saw the other method. Elder Scrolls Online loading screen. Took just over 17 hours to reach the character load screen. I went to bed, woke up and continued to wait through it. Pallet Town. Pokemon Blue. When I was a kid I got a Game Boy for Christmas with Pokemon Blue. It was my first game system and I was super hyped as I had seen friends play Pokemon at school. However, I was terrified of going into the tall grass in Pallet Town at the beginning of the game because I had no Pokemon to protect me and battle with. Along with that, some NPCs warning you about not going into the tall grass without a Pokemon. I spent my first 2 hours of Game Boy ownership trapped in Pallet Town, like it was some sort of purgatory. Only until I started crying did my dad step in and help. First thing he did was take that step into the tall grass with me yelling at him not to. Next thing I know, Oak runs and yelling at me and my Pokemon adventure officially starts. My cousin didn't register that the carpet in the house was also the exit. She was trapped in the house and didn't fouch the game until I showed her how to get out. I am still stuck on Dark Souls 2 because I used something on the bonfire and it just made the area super hard to beat. Quit trying after a while ages ago. Can't even remember what it was called. Bonfire Ascetic does that. Makes the area respawn more difficult enemies. Great for loot and grinding but can make the area very difficult. When I bought the first Dark Souls, it was my first time playing it. I couldn't get past the tutorial. I thought that there was no way I have to kill this boss. There's another way hidden somewhere. I spent 3 months playing this game on and off, starting the tutorial again and again to see if I missed something. I had like 15 hours on the tutorial. When I realized what I finally had to do, I didn't believe how stupid I was. I played for like 2 hours before I realized how to change my weapon, then beat the boss my first try. That hilt wasn't cutting it. Final boss of Echo the Dolphin. Never beat that bee. Spent probably 2 years as a kid trying at least once a week. Lost the final password twice and had to get there all over again. Carved the password into my closet wall the last time though. Password is still there last time I was at my dad's place. Surprised you made it that far. I remember that game being really tough. Prince of Persia. Warrior Within. I have been stuck since 2005, so 12 years. Flipped a lever in one section of the game and a gate was supposed to open to access the next area. By the time I had finally looked up where I was supposed to go, all of my saved games were past the part where you pull that lever. But so I watched a video and went to the part where the gate was still closed. I went back to the lever already used, and it's not a toggle. Go to reload last saved game and lever already used. This bug annihilated my game. I was over 50% of the way through, and so I watched a real-time run through for the rest of the game so I could see how the story wrapped up. Will never return to that blasted save file. I literally couldn't beat the Xbox original demo disc for that game as a child, so I never even bought it to give it another shot, lol. It took me about 50 hours to get to the flagship in FTL, only to be destroyed within seconds of the fight. About 50 hours later I finally beat it. FTL is one of my favorite games of all time. I love FTL so much. I'm still trying to do my hard-only playthrough where I reset everything and am unlocking everything solely on hard. It has been challenging. Tony Hawk's Wasteland. There was this challenge where you had to spam your controller button really fast to pull this thing down. Took me weeks on weeks to do it. The green top by Rodeo Drive. I know exactly what you mean. The next time I played through it, it came off first time. 23 years. When I was about 10, I played Legend of Zelda on NES all the time. When I finally made it to Ganon, the final boss, there was some kind of glitch in my cartridge where Ganon would never actually show up. Link would just stand there in an empty room like a goon indefinitely. I bought a NES Classic when they came out last year and played Legend of Zelda from start to finish within a few days. When I beat that butthole at the end, it was so satisfying. I was stuck on the final boss of Bloodborne for the better part of a year. I just could not freaking beat Ganon no matter how hard I tried. Then on day I tried again and something just clicked and I finally managed to take the old sucker down and then beat Moon Presence in the first try after that. Felt good, man. But now Orphan of Kos is the new barrier. I've tried him a handful of times so far and I can see myself giving up for a while on him. I had a pretty easy time with Ganon, though I was a pretty high level from doing all of the Chalice dungeons first. I don't remember Orphan giving me a lot of trouble, but Lawrence was a son of a bee to fight. I've been stuck on the last mission of Simpsons Hit and Run for almost a decade. Every couple of months I used to put it back on and try, but nope. It took me the good part of 4 hours to beat that level. Hard AF. Battletoads and Battlemaniacs from 1993. I got stuck on this hoverjet level for years. Then one day I beat it in 1998 or so on a nostalgia playthrough. Then it only gets more insane. Turbo Tunnels and Volkmaier's Inferno are pretty easy as everything except THW missiles in Inferno have set positions. It's the river stage that's a B. Mines are completely random. I played Ocarina of Time over the course of 14 years from age 6 to 20. I remember being stuck in Jabu Jabu's belly for probably 5 or 6 years because I couldn't figure out that I needed to use a boomerang on the uvula looking things hanging from the ceiling. I was a dumb kid with little gaming experience. For context, it took me so long because the N64 was at my grandparents' house, a 12-hour drive away, and I wasn't allowed to bring it home because my dad didn't believe in letting me play video games. But he never went with me to the grandparents because they were his in-laws. So it was the only game I could call my own for so long. And it's also the only thing I have that belonged to my uncle who lost a long battle to alcohol addiction a few years ago. I cried my eyes out when I finished it and started it right over because I could barely remember the beginning. I never got Mile High Club. Tried hundreds of times spread across the life of that game. Came very close many times. Never sealed the deal. This one resonates with me. It was the last achievement I had left in MW, and it took me ages to beat it. I think I finally beat it by just basically running through all the enemies and being pretty much dead at the end. Man, I love and hate that game. Gamers who grew up in the 90s will fondly, or perhaps not so fondly, remember the tie-in video game for Disney's The Lion King. There were a number of levels that were designed to be excruciatingly difficult, but back when I was a kid, getting to those stages was honestly a relief for me. It's not that I was some kind of game playing prodigy, it's that I'd already spent days trying to get beyond an obstacle caused by my own idiocy. Near the beginning of the game, there's a level in which Simba has to make his way across the savannah. This was accomplished, at least in part, by having tree-dwelling monkeys launch him around the map. Roaring at some of these arboreal primates would cause them to alter the direction of their throws, which was really the only thing required of the player at that point. Everything else was just a process of waiting for the game of catch to finish. Unfortunately, I completely forgot about that mechanic at one point, and I became convinced that I had received a broken copy of the game. After being tossed from monkey to monkey, the little lion was deposited on what looked vaguely like a bird's nest. The final monkey then moved its arms as though trying to continue the catapulting process, but no actual toss occurred. After failing to get beyond that point, despite more tries than I cared to count, I decided that the nest had been placed there by accident. I even asked my father if he could somehow reprogram the title to remove the impediment, and after he had explained why that was impossible, I went through the level, up until the broken part, literally hundreds of times, always hoping that the problem would magically fix itself. It wasn't until my younger brother asked why don't you roar at it that the solution became evident. I made an excuse about why that wouldn't work, then waited until he had left the room before trying his advice. As I said, getting to the actually difficult parts of the game was something of a relief after that. TLDR, I hated that level in The Lion King. No, not that one. The easy one. That level literally has the text "roar at monkeys" underneath the level title at the start. In the 90s was a game based on R.A. Salvatore's Drizzt books. Can't remember the name. I remember you ended up going to Mensa Baranzan, I think. I played it all the way through, got to the end, got the big cutscene with the final boss gloating how they were going to win, and, no boss. Ended up contacting support and then gave up and moved on. Months later, I think it was 8 or so, a package came in the mail with a 3.5 inches disc. It was to patch the game because they either forgot to make the final boss spawn or I'd hit the right conditions for it to not be there. I bought Dark Souls 2 on release day. There were no guides to look up at the time and I ended up taking a much more difficult route near the beginning. Took me over 20 hours to get past one of the first bosses I encountered because I had such weak gear, the 3 Ruined Sentinels. I'll never forget the moment I finally beat them. I did the same thing, came very close to giving up, was my first Dark Souls game as well. I spent all my time flirting with Chi in Persona 4 and now I am seriously underpowered through Kanji's dungeon and cannot progress because I've completely neglected to level up my Persona. Let Kanji stay in the Midnight Channel. Run the calendar out and Igor will tell you that you chose poorly and will rewind the calendar a week. Use the time to grind instead of getting your Mac on with Chi. Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Carnival Night Zone level. The barrel. I was 10 when the game came out, and that barrel gave me nightmares. I'm not positive I could beat it now, more than 20 years later. I've been trying to get the green Protodrake since 2008 and I finally got it this month. Almost 10 years of stupid eggs. I recently got unstuck from the Axum Rangers battle and completed SMRPG. I tried getting unstuck for a year and then gave up. It's been like 2 years since I gave up. I think the fight is easily the hardest part of the non-optional stuff in that game. Always kill pink first, then I think yellow, the one with the attack that hits the whole party. Once they are dead, the rest isn't so bad. Oh god, this is embarrassing. So in Pokemon Ruby, you have to fight your rival in order to leave Oldie Town in the very beginning of the game. I did not know this. Let me tell you, grinding off Zigzagoons for 2 days will grant you a level 40 Blaziken easily. Dark Souls in Annalundo running between the sniper archers. I wonder how many controllers have been broken because of that spot. Then along come Ornstein and S'more. Haha. The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. I was stuck for 14 years in the Water Temple. An unfortunate saved game while on a corner ledge made it impossible to advance. I waited 14 years to go back and replay from the beginning and got a very satisfying finish when Ganondorf was defeated. I was stuck on the second Bowser fight of Mario 64 for years. I don't know why I had such a hard time. It's super easy now. This was also before I had internet, so I thought it was the final boss and had no idea there were 6 more worlds after it. When I finally beat him I crapped my pants. Maybe not exactly the same, but I spent years trying to beat Civilization V on Deity. I'd make some concerted efforts and get so close, but inevitably another civilization always ballooned WAAAY out of control and engulfed me. Finally I just turtled up with a heavy science civ and got a science victory. Anyone could have steamrolled me if they wanted, but for some reason I was left alone all game. Some of my most epic gaming memories came from civ games. Call of Duty Modern Warfare. The Mile High Club achievement to complete the level of the same name on Veteran. I lost count of the amount of times I tried it. Finally got it though after much swearing. I played on hardened and it took me 2.5 hours. I got lucky. The AI blew itself up. I will always feel bad for the guy who comes out of the bathroom at the beginning. I knifed him more times than I care to remember. Dark Souls 2. Scholar of the first sin in Shrine of Amana. Nearly impossible to kill everything because of the insane range of the mages that attack while the hammer guys run towards you, and nearly impossible to run through because of the water. It was even worse in the vanilla versions. When I was about 10 years old, I was playing Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. I got to a part where I couldn't find a way over a wall. This wall became the bane of my existence for months. I probably spent at least 30 hours in game desperately trying to figure out where to go. I remember getting a guide of some sort, and even in that it was like it just straight up skipped over how to get over this wall. I gave up. I ended up going back to it like a year later. I immediately saw a block directly clearly in the middle of the path that could be pushed out of the way. That easily visible block robbed me of a sane childhood. God of War 3. I put the game in, got stuck, and didn't play it again for a month because of this part. This went on for a year plus. At the very beginning of the game, there is a tree you have to move. I thought the button it was telling me to push was the joystick button. It took someone else telling me after wanting to see what my bitching about that is was actually the circle button it was asking for. The final battle of Final Fantasy 15. I usher through without leveling up enough and just don't have the stats to beat it. I come close but just can't. Been like that since January. I didn't save before the end sequence either, so there's no way out of it unless I start a new game. I'm starting a new game. You should be able to go back and grind. Go to a rest area in Insomnia and summon the dog. There is no point of no return that you can lock yourself into. World of Warcraft. The Burning Crusade. Sunwall was an extremely difficult raid, and one boss in particular was tuned so hard that it was practically unbeatable. That is of course Emuru, the Guildbreaker. We spent countless nights of banging our head to the wall trying to kill him, but it required so much effort. Bis gear. Perfect raid composition. Perfect execution. All 25 people has to spend every global CD without a mistake. We celebrated like we won the World Cup when we finally managed to hit phase 2. It was ridiculously tuned, and there was only a handful of guilds who killed him before they finally nerfed him. Pokemon Blue. I was stuck for like a week in the Pokemon graveyard in Lavender Town because I didn't realize you needed the Sylph Scope spelling. So all these unknown ghost Pokemon kept beating the crap out of me. I think I eventually begged my dad to look up a game walkthrough on our crappy dial-up internet at the time. Sephiroth from Kingdom Hearts 2. I could never beat him as a kid, and I am sure I have over 10 hours trying to beat him. Been thinking of picking up the remix version of the game to try again. I was stuck on Spyro 3 for more than 10 years. Basically, you beat the final boss and then the game pulls a completionist on you. You have to get all gems and eggs to fight the big bad for real. I attempted it as a kid but just never managed it. Went back a few years ago, 2014 or 2015, I forget which, armed with the knowledge that sparks can guide you to, and collected gems. Finished what I had started in a few hours. 15 years to get Omnislash at the Gold Saucer in Final Fantasy 7. When I finally got it, the true shame of how long it took me kicked in, cause I got it in 10 minutes. I don't know why, I just never managed it despite years and years of trying, giving up and forgetting, trying again. Aside from that, it took me 9 months to defeat the first Barthandalus in Final Fantasy 13. My housemates were driven insane by that battle music, but it's a fond memory for me. There's a spot in a newer Castlevania game for the Xbox 360 where you have to fight 2 werewolves at once, and I died about 40 times in a row, and I gave up and haven't played since. So, around 7 years I guess. I got stuck at Mikolash for months in Bloodborne. I got so frustrated that I quit the game some 4-5 months. Went back at it with 2 buddies after that, and the 3 of us ended up getting our platinum trophies. It is now one of my favorite games of all time. In Ninja Gaiden 2, I killed the same giant volcano tortoise probably a million times. After you beat it, the tortoise explodes. It kills you. You have to go back and kill it again. It explodes again. You die again. I tried running to the edge of the platform to jump off as that happened. Didn't work. Thought maybe I wasn't making it in time. Still didn't work. Eventually I gave in and looked it up. As the cutscene is starting, you are supposed to hold the block button to block an explosion. It jumps right off of the same mountain exactly as I was trying to do. I was so instantly mad at that. Well, I started playing Super Mario Bros. In the late 80s and never beat it until I got back from college in 2004, if that counts. Yes, I've been playing the newer Tomb Raider. I've been stuck at the same point for the last 6 months. Every other week or so, I'll play it, die 10-15 times, give up and wait another couple of weeks to try again. Darksiders. That stupid part after coming back from recrossing a bridge and you had to fight those 2 big night things. Still haven't gotten past it. That part made me put the game down for good. This game is great. I got stuck on a part with the Voidwalker gun. Had to use a guide because I was getting so frustrated. I recall as a child being stuck on the Agma boss fight for Ninja Gaiden Black, along with some other puzzle platform mission for months on and off, hours each day. Raged and didn't touch the game for several years. Then when I was around 16 I decided to finally play again and give it a shot. Ended up beating the game in like a week and thought, wow, that was so easy WTF when I had figured it all out. Only including things I actually got through eventually. Guild Wars, the Domain of Anguish endgame raid. My wife and I got through the City of Talker in a couple of tries, and the Stygian Vale after a week. But Ravenheart Gloom kicked our asses for about a month. And then comes the Foundry of Failed Creations. It took many tries over the course of over a year to beat it. At least Malik's the unyielding final boss went down relatively easily on the 3rd or 4th try. All in all, it took us nearly a year and a half from start to finish. I will always upvote Guild Wars stories. Satyrus and Minardi at the Venus Lighthouse in the first Golden Sun. Tried to fight them with only half of the Genis LOL. It's still possible to beat them if you are higher leveled. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.